Breaking Bad, best show of all time. Okay, well, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. And, I'm sorry? Oh, you want me to explain? Okay. Breaking Bad, best show of all time, and here's why. Can you believe Breaking Bad aired its final episode 10 years ago? But with 2 spin-offs, nearly 100 awards, and approximately a bajillion internet memes to its name, it's got quite the legacy. Best show of all time? It's very possible. But let's talk about it. Spoilers ahead, obviously.
Ready?
Let's be honest, if you want people to watch your show for 5 seasons or more, you're going to need good characters. Most viewers will forgive the occasional bad episode or a bit of sloppy writing if the show features characters they want to spend time with. And they don't have to be likable characters either. Just ask any fan of Succession. But they've got to be compelling and complex. And boy, did Breaking Bad deliver on that front. Who would have expected that Bryan Cranston, the dentist from Seinfeld, the dad from Malcolm in the Middle, would end up playing one of the greatest anti-heroes ever to appear on a TV show?
It's no match for me.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Hal from Malcolm in the Middle was often kind of an intense, unpredictable fella. Kind of like Walter White. But it says a lot about Cranston's skill as an actor that he could take everything that made Hal lovable and hilarious and use it to make Walt devious and terrifying. Walt's journey from mild-mannered chemistry teacher to a murderous drug kingpin is one of the greatest character arcs in the history of TV. A journey that is both incredibly satisfying and incredibly upsetting to watch. It often makes you ask yourself, exactly why do I like watching this guy? Which is a deliciously uncomfortable position to be in as a viewer. So the show was great for Walter White alone, but he's backed up by one of the best supporting casts ever. His hilarious, tragic relationship with Jesse Pinkman made for a classic double act. His brother-in-law, Hank, grew from being a ball-busting a-hole to a noble hero. Bob Odenkirk was so compelling as slimy lawyer Saul Goodman that he got his own spin-off series, a work of genius in itself. And Mike Ehrmantraut, the weary fixer, was so popular that they naturally shipped him over to the spin-off as well. That's the thing about Breaking Bad. From the casting to the writing, from the stars to the walk-on guest characters, everybody was worth watching. You had compelling villains like Gus Fring and Lydia, and a terrifyingly blank, childlike Todd. You had fantastic comic relief figures like the bumbling Badger and Skinny Pete, and even the less showy, less badass roles like Skyler, Walt Jr., and Marie gave depth to the world of the show. And never let us forget that Walt's actions had consequences. And man, just look at where these guys start in episode 1 and where they end in the finale. Those are some wild character journeys. But of course, you don't get great characters without great writing. Breaking Bad wasn't exactly revolutionary in the TV landscape because a lot of the stuff that made it great had already been done. Shows like The Sopranos, The Shield, The Wire, 24, and 6 Feet Under, they all laid the groundwork for the golden era of prestige TV, with complex ongoing plots and characters that change a lot over the seasons. They showed that there was space for long-form adult narratives, after many decades of standalone procedurals and sitcoms where the status quo never changed. It's really easy to take that for granted now as there's so much great TV available. We've kind of moved past the prestige TV era. We're maybe even beyond peak TV, with so many streaming services fighting for our attention. It's more like the era of TV overload. Many good shows sink without a trace because there's so many choices. But some do still hit critical mass and become viral sensations. Shows like Yellow Jackets, Yellowstone, and other shows that don't have the word yellow in the title, like The White Lotus and Succession. And what do these hits have in common besides good characters? Great writing. Like I said, Breaking Bad didn't invent the concept of good writing, but it did show how glorious, really, really good writing could be. It starts explosively, and it's the big dramatic moments that stick in your mind, like Hank's parking lot battle with the twins, Jesse killing Gale, Walt killing Gus, and pretty much the whole episode of Ozymandias. But what you might have forgotten is just how patient the show could be. I'll get more into this in the pacing section, but damn did these writers take their time mapping out stories. As well as being patient, the writing was unpredictable. Right in the middle of a crazy arc about Walt's battle of wills with Gus, there'd be a bottle episode about a fly stuck in the lab. and there would be some wild tonal shifts. Let's not forget that while Breaking Bad was one of the most tense and intense TV shows ever made, it was also really funny a lot of the time. But those tonal shifts never felt jarring, and that's a testament to just how careful, precise, and thoughtful the writing was. Now, after you take a second to like and subscribe, let's talk about the pacing. How do you get people to come back to your show episode after episode, season after season? You can go the super propulsive route like 24, where there's a cliffhanger every 30 seconds, each episode ends with a major twist, and when a new season is announced, everyone tunes in just to see how much crazier it gets. Or you can go the slow burn route, and the Breaking Bad writers really knew how to give us a slow burn. Like I said before, we remember the big moments, but they took their time getting us there. Details would be set up and put quietly aside and paid off many episodes later, sometimes seasons later, like Walt's little vial of ricin. Climaxes would come in unexpected places. The writers would make you wait, sometimes for a painfully long time. Why? So that you could feel what the characters were feeling.
Hold on, it was you!
Take the stretch in season 4 when Walt and Gus have kind of a stalemate going on, and Jesse has gone into self-destructive spiral of drugs and partying. Some less patient viewers might say that during these episodes, nothing much happens. And yeah, sure, there's not much in the way of big action-packed moments, but the tension keeps building, the screws keep turning, and it's slow for a reason, because the characters are in a holding pattern, trapped in their own thoughts. And they're not trapped in there with us, we're trapped in there with them.
He's still out there.
Pacing is the reason the big moments hit so hard. Walt finally defeating Gus is satisfying because there's been so much build up to it. The scene with Hank and the twins in the parking lot is thrilling because the show hasn't given us many scenes like that before. If there was a gun battle in every episode, they'd lose their impact. And pacing is why, when we finally got to season 5 and things really started unraveling for Walt, it all felt so apocalyptic and inevitable.
But I feel good.
Okay, so you've got some great characters, some great writing, but that's no use if your show looks like it was filmed by a chimp with an OG Game Boy. If you don't know what an original Game Boy is, ask your grandpa. Luckily, Breaking Bad was consistently one of the most stylishly shot and edited TV shows on air. The directing was always dynamic and often experimental, with various devices like POV shots and cryptic cold opens becoming trademarks of the show. And those cold opens would be built on in the spin-off series Better Call Saul, whose episodes were often constructed around very long, detailed sequences of planning and waiting, where the meaning would suddenly snap into place after many minutes. But all that awesome cinematic style was first born on the set of Breaking Bad. In order to achieve those effects, the show got some great directors. Rian Johnson was probably the most notable guest director, helming 3 episodes, including the aforementioned Fly and Ozymandias. But show creator Vince Gilligan also became a reliably great director of episodes, along with Michelle MacLaren, who came close to directing the first Wonder Woman. Even Bryan Cranston got in on the action, directing the first episode of Season 2, the first episode of Season 3, and the first episode of the second part of Season 5. Directing, editing, cinematography, sound, every element of Breaking Bad was fine-tuned to perfection, creating a memorable aesthetic that captivated fans. And let's not mince words, it was cool. Adding to that cool factor was the soundtrack. The main theme was obviously great and instantly iconic, but the show had some of the greatest needle drops in TV history as well, with a seriously diverse list of artists. The show managed to feature electronic producer Apparat, 60s rock band Tommy James and the Shondells, EDM jokers, Knife Party, 50s folk crooners, the Limelighters, Nat King Cole, and even Danger Mouse. And somehow it all fit. I bet those artist sales went through the roof somewhere around the year 2013, because it can't be denied, this show had some serious cultural impact. At its height, while the 5th and final season was airing, Breaking Bad was pretty much inescapable. It was real water cooler stuff, both in real life and online. Of course, you can't measure success entirely through internet memes, but when it comes to Breaking Bad, You've got to stand up and salute the sheer variety. There were Lego parodies, musical parodies, animated parodies. There were parodies based entirely around the fact that Walt Jr. really likes breakfast. And even now, many years after the show finished, they're still coming. Just take a look at whatever this is, or this. So yeah, the internet loved the show. Audiences loved the show, and so did the critics.
Brilliant.
The show was nominated for over 200 awards, and it won nearly 100 of those, including 2 Golden Globes, 16 Primetime Emmys, and 2 Golden Nymph Awards. What's a Golden Nymph Award? I don't know, but it does sound kinda cool. There's also the matter of spin-offs. I've already mentioned Better Call Saul, but I really need to underline just how successful that sister show was. Not everybody was convinced that a prequel about Walt and Jesse's shifty lawyer was a good idea, but Better Call Saul is almost as critically acclaimed as its parent show. It also scooped up loads of awards. Plus, it really kickstarted the Bob Odenkirk renaissance that we're still enjoying to this day. And then there was El Camino, a movie that exists. I'm just joking. El Camino was great, although it arguably hasn't had quite the seismic impact of Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul. And we do all love Aaron Paul, let's be honest. Hollywood, we could use some more Aaron Paul. But there's another area where Breaking Bad had a huge impact, and that involves a little streaming service called Netflix. You may have heard of it. After the show's 4th season aired, Netflix purchased the rights as part of its early drive to buy up content for its growing service. A ton of people signed up so they could binge watch those 4 seasons, which helped build anticipation for the 5th. In fact, at the 2013 Emmy Awards ceremony, Vince Gilligan personally thanked Netflix, saying the service kept us on the air. There was a massive ratings boost for the show's final season, which became real appointment television, and Netflix got a huge boost in subscribers in return. So, a meme monster, a ratings smash, a critical darling, one of the crowning achievements of the golden age of prestige TV, a major early victory in the streaming wars. I just think it's a pretty neat show, okay? So we've had Better Call Saul, which gave us a surprisingly deep exploration of everyone's favorite scumbag lawyer, and which some argue actually surpassed the original series. We've had El Camino, which was a fun, if not super ambitious, goodbye for Jesse Pinkman. Who else from Breaking Bad deserves a spin-off? I've got 5 words for you. The Further Adventures of Huel. Seriously, I've got a 10-season plan ready to go. Netflix, hit me up.